Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness, and it's just after midnight and we are doing an unboxing of Wizard Kings. This is from Columbia Games, designers Grant and Tom Dalglish. This is the second edition, published about 2006, 2007. It says it can support up to 7 players. There's 7 different armies in the box, is my understanding. Let's go ahead and get the shrink off. And the shrink is off. And before we take a look, say that this was sent to me as a review copy from the marketing rep of Columbia Games. I received 2 different games. And on the channel last year, you guys picked that Wizard Kings would be the first one to look at. There was no preconditions on receiving these games. I'm not getting paid to review them or anything like that. It was just, here are some copies that I can do as I please on my channel to look at and use for content or whatnot. I am going to give this copy away. Now, I purchased myself a used copy of this that's already stickered. Looks like there might be some extra stuff in that box, and I don't know if it's all complete or not, but so I'm going to unbox this one, but I will play with the other copy so I can give this away to one of my viewers on the channel. I have a upcoming milestone. I'm almost at 500 videos published on my channel, and when I exceed that number, I'll go ahead and I'll give this game away here. But we're unboxing this guy now. So this is a review copy. As I said, this is the second edition. It sports up to 7 players because there are 7 different armies. Now, I am familiar with some of the differences between the second and the first edition, but not all the differences. So at some point, I'd like to do a compare and contrast between first and second edition. So that's some follow-up content that I'll do with this. So besides this unboxing, I plan to do a how to play of the second edition, a compare and contrast first and second edition, a playthrough of the second edition, and potentially more content from there. So the armies that we have, so there's different units here, but it says Amazons, dwarves, undead, feudal, so a man race, barbarians, another man race, and elven and orcs. So Amazons are humans, the feudal guys and the barbarians, those are humans. Then you got elves, orcs, dwarves, and undead. And I believe the first edition had some other armies like were creatures or something and chaos creatures, and I don't think they had these feudal guys. So, but like I said, we'll do that in more detail later. So as you can see here, it says variable maps. These are like geomorphic maps that you can turn this or that way, that they connect and you can piece together different maps. Well, let's dig in. This is not a lot of information. It's just very, very basic. So let's open this up. So I removed the outer sleeve, and inside we have cardboard box, their logo. Some people call these a pizza box, like when you take leftover pizzas, slices or stuff home. And this is what we have inside. So it is a block game. If you didn't know, Columbia Games specializes in block games. So there appears to be dice in here and a bunch of different colors. So there should be 7 different armies in here. And if I recall, I believe there's like 8 blocks per army. Let's see what the rulebook tells us here. So I'm going to zoom back a little bit. Doom, doom, doom. I'm looking for components, and I'm not seeing that right off the bat. Let me flip to the back to see if it says an index. Combat, no. So I'm not seeing a list of overall components. It may be, okay, armies. Okay, here it is. 7 different armies, 8 blocks. So in this standard basic set, and I believe there's expansions. And I think they changed the way they did things for army expansions between the first edition and second edition. That's something I'd like to cover in my compare and contrast. I'm going to check to see with Columbia Games if they might be willing to send me some copies of the current edition expansion thing so that I could compare that. And if they're not, I'll go ahead and get some of those myself to eventually, but that would delay things a bit. But okay, so 7 different armies, 8 units per each of the 7 armies. So that's the variety you get in this standard second edition game without any expansion. So that sounds like quite a good variety. So it's mentioning the maps here, showing how you could set them up. I think it said there's, oh, okay, so there are 4 maps in here, and it shows an example. Well, you could use 5, put them in a cross pattern, but it says extra map required. So it comes with 4 maps. So normally I said, let's get onto the counters, let's get onto the maps. Again, we've got blocks, and those are all unstickered. So here are your stickers. Some of you guys don't like stickering. Personally, I don't like stickering. Yep, so 8 in each column, 7 columns, the 7 armies of the game, with each getting an equal number of armies, ranging from charmers, basic Amazons. So the Amazons have units called Amazons, and a charmer, guardians, bowline, and a castle. Looks like every army gets 1 castle. Looks like there's some kind of special, well, there's different amounts. So like, looks like a magic type user across that. Charmer, Runica, mage, Wicana, wizard, Shakla, and Necrom. And then there's like a standard unit. Amazons, spear maids, low guards, gladers, spears, goblins, and zombies. Then there's like a little more specialized guys. So these got 2 guardians. These got a Huskarl and a cleric, 2 high guards, 2 pixies, a Templar and a cleric, orcs, skeletons. So some of them have more variety, some have a little less variety. Bolin, Viking ship, I guess. That's like a little wave symbol there. Kabar, which is a crossbowman. Ranger, knight, troll, and Vargan, which I've not heard of a Vargan in the normal undead type parlance in any game that I've played with. So they look like a undead cavalry unit. So these are the stickers that go on the blocks. Now, these colors do not one-to-one match the colors of the blocks. So some of them do. So red would be on red, blue would be on blue. I would assume this goes on the gray, the green, and the orange. However, this one and this one, we have black and brown left. So I would guess you probably maybe use black for the undead, and then brown for, I guess these are the feudal guys, knights, spearmen. But maybe, yeah, I would put this on the gray is my thought, but maybe the dwarves would go on the brown. I don't know. We'll see. Do they tell us in here, armies. Red, dwarves do on the go on the gray, the feudals on the brown, and the undead on the black. There they are. Boom, boom, boom. Says the armies in the base game are roughly even. They include a wizard, 3 cheap blocks, several better and more expensive blocks, and a castle. Okay, so additional blocks for all are available in the Heroes and Treasures expansion set. So this is the second edition method of expanding these armies. It says every expansion set, so it's a random thing, which personally I don't really like. I did Magic the Gathering type thing, and I stopped it. But maybe this is more like, some of the the living card games where they're not different rarities and stuff. So I'll have to find out. That's something I'd like to look at and cover on the channel and do a compare and contrast, because I believe for first edition they sold them each army separately, and they came in not a box, but a VHS tape cassette. One of the containers that a VHS tape would come in, the plastic shells. That's how the first edition armies were sold like that. So this sounds like you get a mix of armies, which is good and bad. You can easily just pick up, I want to pick up 1 or 2 things and get a nice amount. But if you want to I want everything for one army, I want to specialize in one army, you can't do that with this. Well, the other way, you'd go out and buy the army set for the ones that you wanted. So that'll be part of the compare and contrast. Hopefully we'll do that. So before we look into the rules a little more, which are quite thin, by the way, there's 8 total pages here, which includes the index, and the scenarios. So it's all here in 8 pages. Okay. So what is this? That looks like either, well, I would assume maybe money, coins, probably not a victory point tracker, probably coins, I would guess. Typical catalog. All right, now here we go. We got, there's something underneath at the bottom. Let me get that out there. Okay, this looks like a plate. Uh-oh. Sort of stuck into the edge. No, this is not a player aid. Well, it's perforated. Can you see that there? It's perforated. Spell cards. So each of the, well, there's 7. Okay, cleric rituals. So, cleric rituals, chaos spells, and werebeasts. So, these are not in the base game. There are no chaos guys or werebeasts. So this must be something that's available in an expansion. But there was clerics. 2 of the army types had clerics, right? Yes, the these barbarians and the feudal dudes. Now, yeah, I would just guess that the 2 labeled clerics are the guys with cleric spells. I mean, it's possible that the Dwarven High Guard could be clerics, but I think they would put that in the name. So there's spells available to each of the magic type, the wizardly type, but there are mages, wizards, Shaklas, Necroms, Wakanas, Runicas, and Charmers. They each have their own spells. Maybe these are tracking spell points. I don't know. These could be gold. These could be spell point costs that you're accruing mana points or something like that. I don't know. All right, we will try to find that out. But that's not a player's aid card. That's 8 separate cards, magic oriented, only single-sided. All right. So now the maps. Okay. So look at that. Okay, I think in the first edition, I believe that there was like maps 1 through 4, and then they added some expansion maps. And so it looks like here with this second edition, they wanted to give people a reason to buy the new thing, because they were like, adding some new, they were adding the feudal guys. And I don't know if they changed any of the, again, compare and contrast them. I'll see, are there any rules difference? Or are there any army differences? I'd like to do that video eventually. We will see if we can do that. But they came out with new maps here. So instead of having maps 1 through 4, so I'll have to check. Let's see, what's the status of the other, can you get those now? I think I remember you used to be able to buy, it must have been 2 packs of 2 maps. Because there was, no, does that make sense? Oh, wait a minute. So there was like 4 packs, I think, of 2 maps each. Because, 1 through 4 came with the base game in first edition, and then there was some expansions. So you must be able to still buy those, but we'll see. So these are single-sided. All right. Which, in some ways, it'd be nice for them to backprint these in an offset manner, so that you could actually have 2 of the same ones potentially. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have like 13 and 14, and then 14 and 15, and ready, and then 16 and 13 back, so that you could potentially, so you could put them together for this kind, but you could potentially have 2 of the same island. Maybe that's too confusing, having the same names or something like that. But I kind of like that idea of being able to mix and match, even repeating a particular piece of landmass or something. Like if you wanted to totally have an identical symmetric thing, you could have 2 14s and you put them together, and each side was like, okay, you've got the exact same train to work. You're on that half, I'm on this half. So in terms of putting together your own scenarios, or just fighting a match like that, that would be an interesting idea. So I suppose, well, but if these are in the basic game, you probably can't buy. Well, I think Columbia Games on their website has the ability for you to go in and buy individual components for, like, oh, I lost some blocks. You can buy some blocks. Some of the games have cards. You can buy, like a placement box. So you can probably get maps 13, 14, 15, 16. If you wanted duplicates, you could probably do that. So that's something that I will check and talk about in a compare and contrast later. So let's look at some of these maps here. Okay, these must be cities. They're numbered, and they're not like separate. So it's like 1s, 2s, and a 3. There's like a 3 on this map, 1, 2, and the rest are 1s. So that's probably some kind of production or gold value. So again, I'll bet you those other markers are gold. That's my current bet. So we got roads, a bridge, must be desert, mountains, woods. Ooh, even a little wooded island. Various named straits and stuff, but it's not anything from any particular IP. Not a particular. You don't got Lord of the Rings. You don't got Game of Thrones. No Shannara. No Bulgaria. No, whatever the fantasy you've done over the years that you like. Now, I think that'd be cool if they actually made sort of like, well, of course, obviously they have to license it. Maybe those IPs are too expensive. Maybe some of the old IPs, though, things that aren't big movie and show properties now, but, Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever, or, Well, I mean, Shannara had a TV series, but obviously Tolkien, that's just way out there. But as an individual, you could make your own. So I wonder if they sell blank maps. Yeah, I'll find out about that. Blank maps, this size, this hex pattern, where you could then draw in your own stuff. Now, so obviously some of these, let's see this. See, these meet up this way, and you couldn't do this, but these meet up this way. So you have total water sides and the vertical total water sides, and then the land masses. So you can put these together, and I guess they're all that way. They've got one side all water, one short side, one long side, one short side with land, one long side with land. Oh, reef. So my little shiny, get distracted here, talking about one thing. And all right, you got swamps here. You got reefs. Yes, those are deserts. So it's interesting. You've got mountain hex sides, and you got filled in mountain hexes. Now this one has a river with the road in it. So getting this way. So I don't know if mountains are unpassable. I'm assuming dwarves probably can easily navigate the mountains, whereas elves in the forests, etc. Not sure who would navigate the deserts necessarily. Well, I'm thinking, what, orcs? Would orcs be in the swamp? Would they be in the mountains? Orcs can sort of be all over the place, but what about undead? I don't know if they. So that's what I'm going to find out. Is I'd like to do a video on that potentially, all the compare and contrast the armies. Now, again, since this version, you can't just buy all the armies. You have the basic set, and then my understanding is those expansions have additional types that aren't included in the basic set. So unless they're willing to send me a complete copy, of all the armies, I can't compare and contrast everything. But I could, whatever I got, I could do a video showing you, what are the differences between the different armies, give you an idea of what kind of unit types they have. If you have an inclination to play certain kind of armies over others, what is available to you. Nico's wall. So that's interesting there. A big great wall kind of thing there. So, and here's falls. So I wonder if we had the Viking ship, if they can sail upriver, but would probably have to stop at, the Vikings normally would portage around, so I don't know if they've got rules for that or not. But so was there any other trend? There was something I saw on one of these. Yes, here. We've got what looks like a Stonehenge kind of thing. So that's supposed to be some kind of point of interest. I don't know if that has a magical effect. Supposedly Arthurian legends, Merlin was responsible for the creation of Stonehenge or something, so I'm going to guess. Oh, here's another one. Landhenge, they're calling it. So not everyone has one of these. I don't see one on here unless I'm missing it. Yell loudly and say, Meandering Mike, it's over there. So it's got the falls and this reef and the wall. So I think it's got its, number of specials there. Well, this one has a hinge. And this one here, I don't see a hinge. I see deserts, woods, mountains. Okay, this is interesting. This map here, this is an island. So the fact that there's the short side with land and the long side with land, this doesn't connect through. This becomes an island unto itself. So that's sort of its special. Map number 13 is it has a self-contained island. This all connects through, albeit, you know, there's these rivers here and stuff, but they do connect through. You can go by land through all that, and it has a hinge. This one has a hinge, and it also connects through. You know, there's this big sound in here. Sound, a bay, basically, bigger than just a bay, but a, Goblin Bite. Now, that spelling of bite is a sort of like a wide indentation in a piece of land. Like they talk about the bite of Africa, the way Africa has that. Or it looks like someone took a bite, but this is the spelling of that. Bite. So, but this does connect through, and this one does. So this all connects. This is a big part here, but this also has a break. So depending on how you put those together, you could do this and create a mini island there too. If you wanted now, I know this game has flyers. But evidently the basic game, there are no flyers. Well, I don't know that for certain. Do we? Could some of these fly? Obviously, the castles don't fly. I don't know all these symbols. That's obviously forest. That looks like, no, that's palm tree. I think that's a palm tree. What would the nate be on a palm tree? Is that an oasis in the desert? That kind of armor, you're gonna stroke out. That looks like a swamp frond. Wow. Okay, so wait. Is that wings? That red. Okay, let's look in the rules now for some symbology. Flyers. Yep, here we go. Right here, folks. Let me zoom a little bit so you can see that. Flyers. Okay, that is aquatics. Sea creatures or naval blocks. Oh, that's amphibians. So it looked like a swamp frond. Can move along river hexes. Cannot enter sea hexes. Can move through swamp hexes without having to stop. All right. So that palm frond are desert folk. So, okay, interesting. So each army, the whole army isn't specialized in a particular terrain type. Their different units are, yes. So that is the forest folk, the mountain folk. So that looked really weird in the little thing here. So these little things look from here more like a blue and red kind of purple blob, but that is mountains. So the barbarian spear maids are in the forest. The Runica's a flyer. The Huskarl's mountain oriented. The Red Star is a cleric. You can fight or use a ritual. They don't have a terrain type, so they have no terrain specialty. The Viking ship was an aquatic, sea or naval. They may never cross all land, hexsides, or waterfall. Nope. So these Viking ships in this game cannot port like your normal Vikings could. May attack across all water. Sea, lake, river, and coastal hexes. Okay. So obviously castles don't move. That's null, 0, slash, no move. City folk. City folk. Did we see a city folk on here? Let's continue to look through these now that we know what that. So that's the what was it again? The amphibians. So these undead horse dudes are amphibians. I guess at being undead, you can wade right through the river or whatnot, and the swamp doesn't stop you. That's the palm frond. So the skeletons are good in the desert. The zombies, no, because the zombies would like dry out. So they're amphibious. So that's amphibious. The zombies are amphibious. These are the desert folk, castle, and the flyer. So these are the goblins, mountain. So the vast majority of their troops are mountain troops. The magic users are the shokla. And the troll is amphibious. The feudal dudes, there's the desert. I guess they're like, oh, he's a crusader, you know. Even though that is rough. Being in full plate like that, that is taxing. It's kind of, yeah, you got to give some props to the crusader dudes, the nuts that they were. So the cleric, there's city folk, Templar. And so the feudal dudes, they want to stay at home and defend cities. Now, does that include attacking a city? In city hexes. So that's the question is, I think in this game you fight in the hex. But does that mean if the other guy has a castle in there and you're coming in and attacking with your city folk, do you get a +1? I'll have to get clarification on that. All right, so didn't mean to necessarily do a whole. This is kind of interesting here, seeing so definitely some of the armies are very concentrated. Mountain. These are a mix of swamp and desert, or aquatic, so marsh and river. Mostly city, a little bit of desert. The elves are I'm gonna guess mostly forest. Ooh, pixie flyers. Okay, so they are the only army in here that has flyers other than the magic user. Every magic user is a flyer, but the elven army has 2 pixies. So these are forest. The ranger's forest. That's like a powerful archery unit there. So forests and flyers. We know the dwarfs are, so interesting. The guards are city folk. The high guards are the mountains. The kabar is mountain. So mountains and city. The barbarians are a mix of forest, mountain, a cleric, and the aquatic. And then our Amazons, mountain for the Bolin, the Guardians are mountain, the Amazons are forest. Forests and mountains. All right, so interesting mix there. So, of course, this is going to be, if I can get a hold of additional armies, expansions of these armies to see what other, I don't know how many total units are available. So that's, I'd like to find out for the compare and contrast, see if I can get a hold of at least a couple of the, what do they call those expansions? Heroes and Treasures. Or ideally, if I can I get a complete set or something so I can compare and contrast for my viewers. I've never actually asked for review products before, so I don't know what the protocol is on that, but I will ping them and see if they're willing to send me additional stuff to supplement what I'm covering here. So we're in here in the rule book again. Let's look real quick at your block. Now, my understanding is, I believe that 90% of all the Columbia block games basically use the same kind of deal. And I remember learning about it once, and I was like unhappy about one of the aspects. So you have the name of the unit, you got the combat rating, which is a letter and a number. The number represents, like, the higher the number, the better chance you have to hit. And the letter, the earlier in the alphabet, means you're more elite, more veteran, like you get to shoot first. So like A's shoot before B's, B's shoot before C's. But like an A2, he's only got a 2 strength. There might be like a B3, the B's shoot after the A's, but he might have a higher strength or something. And then, so this is the movement allowance with the terrain key, that you may or may not have a terrain bonus, which, well, let's see. Yep, it's normally combat and movement. So like forest folk, you normally have to stop when you enter the forest. Mountain, stop. But the mountain folk can keep moving. Same with desert. Amphibian, same thing. It's giving a movement. Now, you don't have to stop in a city, but normally you're not going to leave a city undefended. So I think you're normally going to garrison your cities, right? If they're worth victory points or gold or whatnot there. So does every city a 3, a 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones? This is Meandering Mike, meandering through my different way I look at things. 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 5. 5 ones. There's one up there and one over there. So this says no 3. I'm going to zoom out because we're unable to. It says 2 2s. Interesting. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 6 1s and 2 2s. So 10. So no, there's always 10 points worth per map. It's normally the 5 1s, 3, 4, 5, and a 3 and a 2. 3 plus 2 plus 5 1s. Yeah, 5, 10. So this one doesn't have a 3, but it has 2 2s and 6 1s. All right. And this one does the same thing. 2 2s and 6 1s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa. 1. Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't notice that before. This is underground. So that'll be interesting to see the rules on that. An actual underground city. So 2 2s and 6 1s, one of them which is underground. All right, so back to here. Meandering Mike, meandering around the map, around the rules, around the army stickers. All right, now Kate talks about artifacts. Artifacts. I haven't seen any artifacts. Oh. Magic weapons and magic artifacts. I wonder if these, well, that thing was called what? Heroes and Treasures, right? So besides getting blocks for each army, additional blocks for also an army that are available in Heroes and Treasures. They don't say here, but you get Heroes and Treasures. You'd think they would mention that here. But I'm not seeing it. They mention these things, but not where you get them. Now here, this little sidebar. Block types, Heroes and Treasures. It is also possible to create an entirely unique Chaos army. Okay, Chaos, Treasures, and Artifact labels are found in the Heroes and Treasures expansion set. They can be attached to any block colors. Okay, interesting. So normally, each army is represented by a block color and a sticker color. And so, like, again, this sort of beige undead goes on a black block. And these khaki feudal guys were going on a brown block, and the others were red, blue, gray, and green and orange. So you know those. But those, what were they again? 3 things: chaos units, treasure, and artifacts. You can get those in the Heroes and Treasures expansion, but you can put them on any color block. So unfortunately with that, that means if you don't get a lot of these, you got to decide which army you're going to give those to. So I personally probably would not sticker up those until like, well, you know, you got to check, is there a scenario? Now, I think this only has 4 scenarios in it, but my understanding is there are scenarios available online that you can download for free. You just have to like set up an account for Columbia Games. I know they have a lot of stuff that you can get, like all the Harn stuff, you can get PDF, and you like it puts your name on it, like it's a watermarked PDF or something, and that. But I believe you can get scenarios for free. Now, I think I would like to see scenario pack expansions. Like I was mentioning the IP stuff. If they could license an IP, you know, or if they got someone who could make up their own, you know, like storyline, and then you come out with an expansion that could have, you know, a set of scenarios for that, with a set of extra blocks. It might include, there's these artifacts and these, you know, special chaos beasts or something that's all part of the storyline. I think that would be cool. I think that would sell. I mean, it's nice that you can, you know, put these together the ways that you want, and you can make up your own scenarios, but, you know, it's all these, you know, funky little made up names that doesn't have a built-in story. You gotta make it up. But if you actually could get a pack where, okay, I just noticed, okay, cover art by Chris Moeller. Okay, I don't know how many of you are familiar, but Chris Moeller is the guy that just came out with Burning Banners from Compass Games. So I'll not talk about that a lot here. Compass Games and Columbia Games are competitors, but, you know, that this makes sense, okay, because he did the artwork for that game also, and sort of created the storyline for that. So Columbia Games and Chris Moeller, you guys could do the same thing for Wizard Kings. Hint, hint, cool items, cool, you know, things that you could come out with that. So anyway, we're Meandering Mike. This is how I meander. So we figured out where treasure, artifacts, and chaos units come from. Somewhere there's also werebeasts or something too, I thought. Maybe that's now part of chaos creatures. I don't know. Because I think there was a separate werebeast. Maybe it was called the Feral or something like that in the first edition. But see, this to me is like, well, this is interesting, but it's also a problem. I don't want to play, you know, Magic the Gathering type, having to buy boxes and boxes of something to try to get, you know, oh, I want this one artifact or something. So, But, yeah, we'll see. Treasures, gold block. Gold block. There were no gold block. Gold blocks. Gold blocks. Blocks. Where's the blocks? Okay, there are no gold blocks in here. So, okay, maybe that's part of Heroes and Treasures. A gold block has 3 steps and therefore stores 15 gold pieces. Artifacts. Wait, artifacts have brown borders. They must be talking about on the sticker, because the brown blocks, those are the feudal dudes. Unlike wizards, a magic artifact is reduced only 1 step per use regardless of spell. Okay, so wizards cast spells and they lose strength. Oh, that's right. I was Meandering Mike, meandering. So we were looking at this, and there's a cost to build a unit, and thing is, if I remember, I think this cost isn't just to buy the block, but it's for each strength point. And that's what these numbers are here on the side. 3 strength, 2 strength. Now, what it says here is, so it's max 3, 3, 2, 1. So you put up the side, excuse me, you put on the top, you rotate the block of the current strength. Now, I'm going to give it a fair shot, but the first time I saw this, I didn't like it. The top doesn't have the dot, but that's the current. You put the dot up, but that's at 1 strength. So a normally max full strength ranger with 3, he'd be upside down normally. And he's not going to be right side up until he's down to 1 strength point. So that's fine for if a unit only has, if there's like, one, like goblins, maybe are they only 1 strength point? Oh my goodness. No, they go up to 4. All right. These guys go up to 4 strength. Only cost 1 each. So, okay, they're very cheap to buy. But again, I just don't like that idea of the top uprightness of the thing is its weakest state. I would rather have the top be up there. Whatever the max is, assuming that you normally start at max in a scenario, they'd be at max. That's me. That's my personal taste there, the thought. But I suppose once you get used to it playing in a certain way, it'll be second nature. You played enough, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me that the weakest is at the top. Yeah. All right, so chaos spells, capturing artifacts, optional rule. So the maps, the types. We already looked at the different types. Swamps, shoal. So what was called? It said reef on the label next to it, but it's a shoal is the type. Impassable to aquatics. Obviously, you're going to get dashed on the reef, the shoals. Block, sea transferred. Okay, gold. So that's the gold value. It is the gold value. There's ports, coastal, sea, lake, all water, bridges, hex side limit. Oh, yes. I remember that. So, most of you are hex encounter type people, and you know that many games have stacking limits in a hex, how many units can be in a hex. This thing also implements hex side limits. So it's like you might be able to move 3 guys into a hex, but you may only be able to, depending on the terrain, cross 1 across this hex side each turn, which to me makes sense at a bridge or a mountain pass or something. But in a big game like this, makes no sense to me that crossing from here to here, that you have some kind of hex side limit. Look at this. This is big, huge, wide open plain. There should be huge clash of armies going on right here. So that's something I'll have to get used to. That's just, up front, I have a negative reaction to that. I'm going to admit my bias in that regard. Like, oh my God. I just I have a little problem with that, but we'll see how it goes in the play. And I get a certain scales that totally can make sense to me, but it just doesn't seem right. Doesn't feel right at this level of understanding right now, not having played the game, but we'll have to see how it plays. But that seems weird to me, to have a hex side limit in addition to a hex limit. All right, so movement initiative. So you roll just dice, looks like unmodified, and that person gets to move first each turn. So you could get a double move, but I believe, if I understand right, both sides move, and then you do combat. Players take turns move clockwise from player 1, player 2, player 3 each turn, move any or all their blocks. Blocks only move once per turn, except to retreat or regroup. So you can retreat or regroup, but moving, you can only move once per turn, of course, but so if there's 7 players, you go move, 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 move. When they've all moved, then you do combat. So, so there has to be some kind of way to engage someone at the movement time to prevent them just moving away. Otherwise, you'd rather move last. He moves, come in and attack you, and then you just run away. Okay, pinning. Attacking blocks prevent an equal number of defending blocks from moving. So if you move in to attack, how many you moved in are going to pin those guys? Defender chooses which ones are pinned. So in a sense, you're committing a rear guard. Like if you've got 3 guys in and they come in, say, with 2 big dudes, you've got 3 little weak dudes, and he comes in with 2 big dudes. You could pick, of my 3, which 2 do I leave behind? Which one do I escape with? Or maybe like you've got your magic user there and you don't want to stay there and die because they're big and huge. You're going to leave, 2 little wimpy guys behind and you're going to skedaddle or something. All right. You cannot move across any hex side used by the attacking block. So where they come in, so there's an incentive to come in from multiple spots, and I get that, but I still don't like the idea of a hex side limit. Sea transport, port capacity, allies. Okay, so here's the terrain effects chart, but it doesn't include combat modifier. This is the stacking. So everything eventually costs 1, but all those different terrains you have to stop when you enter. So like, obviously not clear, but you enter a desert, you stop. You enter woods, you stop. You enter swamp, you stop. You enter mountain, you stop. Unless you have the mountain folk or the swamp folk or the woods folk or the desert folk, etc. Then you can move through. So, but this is the stacking of the hex. So yeah, so look, you can have 3 guys in the woods, but only 1 can cross a wood hex side. You can have 4 in the clear, but only 2 could come in per hex side. So in this battle in the plains here, you could have 4 guys here and 4 guys here, but you could only move in with 2, or he could only move in with 2, and he'd be 2 against 1. That makes no sense to me in this plane. Now you can maybe loop around or something, so you might be flanking dudes to prevent that. But just right here, let's go battle on the plain of Axelar. And it's like, oh, well, no one wants to attack because, hey, I got 4 and you got 4. And if you move in and you can only move in with 2, I'll just sit there and kick the snot out of you with my 4 guys versus you 2. There's no incentive for, so obviously if like most of these guys look like they had a 2 movement allowance, like, you'd have to stop if you cross the forest, unless you're... So the elves, 4 elves here, they could send 2 in this way. They could cross over and attack like that, attack 4. But anybody else, no. I mean, there's river, so who's that? The aquatic dudes or the amphibians potentially wouldn't have to stop. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays. We'll see how we're going to give it, a fair shot. Now, remember, the Meandering Mike style, I look at things, I'll tell you as it is what my opinions are on that, and of course, I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking, and I've encountered bits and pieces about this game before, and I remember certain things, and that was my reaction. Again, that's my reaction that, wow, this hex side limit thing, maybe it plays real well, maybe it adds to the thought process in terms of the strategies and your planning on that. But on the face of it, it just doesn't feel right in my mind. We will see how it feels when we play it. All right. Pinning caution. You may be wary of unpinned blocks, especially unpinned enemy flyers. You cannot pin all defending blocks. At least try to protect your flanks and or retreat hexes. Yeah, the thing is, flyers, if they can fly over anything, that gives those elves quite an advantage of being the only standard army that has flyers other than the magic dudes. Wow, okay. So this, yeah, so you see, these are costing 1 each. These are costing 2 per step, 4 for these rangers. So this whole line of guys here, they're all only max 3 strength, but they're B. Well, A's or B's with a 2 strength. He's a 3 strength. So remember, it's the companies. The earlier in the alphabet letter means you shoot earlier. So this guy would shoot before the crossbow, but he has a 2 strength per step, and he has a 3 strength. So if these guys can get lucky and get hits and weaken him, cool. But if not, bam, 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 he's shooting back much nastier. So castles have a 4 strength, but they shoot last, which is odd to me. I think the castles should get to shoot first as units are approaching the castle. Anyone who's played Age of Empire 2 knows the advantage of the castle. 2s, 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 1s. Okay, so these. Okay, I think. Remember these. People refer to these as cannon fodder, C1s. They shoot last. They only have a 1 strength shooting strength. You can have up to 4 steps easily because they're cheap, but they're wimpy dudes. So they're calling those cannon fodder. But there's no cannons in this game, but you know, that's a metaphor. So if all fighting is so a bowman or a crossbowman, all fighting is in the hex, right? So there's no shooting from those big hexes on the map from one to another. Now there may be spells on that spell list that you can shoot at range, or they might be all in the combat hex. I don't know, but yeah, really expensive. But 2 strings. So these mid guys. Are they all C's? No, these pixies, oh, they're 1s. B1, interesting. So these pixies are weaker. These other guys are all C2s. Pixies get to shoot before them, but they only have a 1 strength instead of a 2 shooting strength. They cost the same. They can be max 3 steps, but they can flying. So maneuverability and tactics-wise, you gotta watch out for these pixies, what they can do. And maybe if they can pick off a dude, a weak dude somewhere that maybe only has 1 step left, you know, and it's a C, but they can go in and maybe shoot first with their B speed. But they only have, you know, but you have a 3 strength pixie, you'd be getting 3 dice rolling for 1s. Whereas if you had one of these, well, actually this guy can get up to 4. The Templar, wow. C2. So this has 3. The Barbarian Huskarl has 4. The Guardian has. That's interesting. Wonder how balanced. Across all the units, it probably balances, but the Templars and the Huskarls could potentially be bigger. I mean, I see you're gonna have to pay for that extra guy, but you could be going in there with 4 strength. Now, something to remember that I haven't said yet is these block games normally are hidden movement. You've got the blocks stood up on end so you can see the sticker on your side, and you can only see the backs of the guys. You don't know. I mean, obviously, if you're paying attention and you see him, you just moved through that forest and didn't stop. I guess you've got the forest movement. And you could say, oh, well, I guess it's not. Well, the thing is, the pixie could be flying. The elves. So depending, but between, say, the skeletons, did it move through the marsh? That's the oasis one. That's the desert or the marsh. So, wow, are you a skeleton or are you a zombie? And you could tell if they moved through. But you might purposely try to fool somebody, and you might move a skeleton or a zombie, say, into the desert, and you stop. Well, if you the other way around, if you stop, you think, he's a zombie. Let's go kill him. But then you might have actually moved the skeleton in, pretending you had to stop. And no, I'm here. I'm getting my bonus, and I'm going to kick your ass because you thought I was a zombie in the desert. Did that make sense? Meandering Mike, meandering, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's wrap this up because this is at an hour. I did not intend this to be such a long unboxing, especially given that it's just 8 pages, but we were, exploring the maps, the different terrain, all the specials, the different distribution of the cities with their gold values. We did a comparison of the starting armies. So we've pretty, intensely looked at this, the starter set, the up to 7 can play. There's 7 different armies. There's 8 units per army. You can, get a lot of play out of that. Now, there's only 4 scenarios. Let's get the scenarios real quick here. Oh, but I was saying about the block game, like if you don't know who's what and you reveal when you get into combat, if you play solo, if you're playing by yourself, you just play them face up. You just have them down there and the easiest way is to say, hey, it's all exposed. You can try to make up rules, and I don't think they have any rules, like how to try to play with hidden movement solo. And that's one of the things that I want to look at and maybe do a video on that. Like, what are some techniques that we could use to like fool yourself and try to get a little fog of war when playing solo? But basically, like if you play the solo scenario, which is this one, 7-3, Island of the Dead, map 13, solitaire or 2 players. So if you're playing at solitaire, obviously you just leave everything face up. So this is elves versus undead. So that map 13, that's that one with that island that we looked at here. So the elves start over here across the water, and the undead start on this island. Kreba, Atami, Baven, Anzar, Bethy. Two units in Bethy. Bethy has the castle. That's way back here, the 3-pointer. So they've guys got here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they got 1 unit each of these, a castle and 1 unit here. The elves start here. Now, the elves, assuming they have 2 pixies, they've got their Wicana, so they've got 3 flying units, but they got a ranger and a glader. So my understanding of sea transport is you gotta go capture like a city on the other coast or an unoccupied port. Do you see a port symbol here anywhere? I do not see any standalone port. So you're going to have to take a city with pixies and wizard. Oops. Undead always moves second. So in this solo version, or even the 2-player version, the undead move second. So I was trying to look up at the sea transport. Can we look at sea transport? Blocks can move up to 4 coastal, lake, river, or sea hexes by sea transport. You must start in a friendly port and move to a port that is friendly at the beginning of the move phase. They may not move past enemy hexes. So obviously they must be considering every city to be a port. They had a port symbol, and I remember seeing one on one of these maps. I thought, no, not on these. Maybe it's the old maps had port symbols, because I'm not seeing them here. Didn't we see a port iconography? Maybe that was a first edition thing. They're calling it a port. Aquatic. Stick to sea, lake, river, and coastal hexes. They may never cross the line side waterfall, shoal hex. So where does it say? Does it refer to a port on the back? Ports 3.2 and 4.81. Thank you for the index. Cities, ports, all. Oh, wait a minute. No, okay. So, okay, that must have been a first edition thing. All coastal or river, cities. All coastal or river cities are ports. Not, I almost said coastal river hexes. No. Okay, all coastal or river cities are ports. Sea transport. 4.81. Okay, to and from cannot be combined with another. Sea transport is not allowed into or from a battle hex. That's the number of blocks. Shipping capacity is equal to the gold point value. So wait a minute. Okay, we move up to 4 hexes. How much number of blocks? Not steps, not strength point, but blocks. So you want to take your biggest dudes. Haven blocks. Haven. I didn't see anything that's a haven. I've seen castles. So that must be something that's available in the expansion, the heroes and treasures thingies. Is there havens? Expansion blocks include haven blocks with a D3 that also increase port capacity by 1. Interesting. All right. So anyway, this scenario, this is the one that we're going to play, that we're going to cover on the channel. And so we'll play it solitaire with everything exposed, and then later I'll try to say, well, let's try to do it with Fog of War, see how we can incorporate that possibly, and still so like maybe mix up the units, which cities they start with, so we don't know, and something like that. We'll see. Maybe this won't be a good scenario for experimenting with solo play, but still using some form of Fog of War. So, to win, the player must destroy both enemy castles. Loss of one castle causes all remaining blocks of that army. Oh, wait, that's from this Alliance expansion. That's not that. This would be here somewhere. Let's see. Where does it have to win? Build phase. That's barbarian. Did it not say how to win? Okay, elves win by destroying the castle at Bethy within 10 turns. All right. So they don't actually have to conquer everything. They got to kill the castle. But if you make a beeline for that somehow, depends on the rules for how the undead maneuver and so you might have a problem if they keep collecting gold and building stuff and coming out and attacking you. So we'll have to see how that works or not. All right. So let's call that here, folks, because we're over an hour. Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It's way after midnight now. So this has been an unboxing and delve into Wizard Kings from Columbia Games. All right. This is the 2nd edition. Designers again, Grant Dalglish and Tom Dalglish. Art by Chris Muller. This has seven different armies, which I believe the first edition had 2. I think it had orcs and elves, and that was, like you had like 25 armies blocks per dudes. Like I said, we'll do a compare and contrast because some of my memory might be bad, but maybe it was 50. No, I think it was 20. Yeah, 50 total, 25 of each or something like that. But up to 7 different armies. I don't think they had a scenario in here for 7 players, but again, you can make up. They had 2 players, Last Wizard Standing, Alliance expansion, 2 players, looks like with 2 armies each. Yeah. And this is a solitaire or 2 players, but a specialized elves versus the undead, with the target being the elves taking out the undead castle. And a barbarian raid 2-player game. Amazons and barbarians. So like I said, I do believe there's a bunch of scenarios online. I'm not sure how many of them are for the second edition, or if what portion of them were made for the first edition or not. And there may be other places out there. I haven't checked to see if there's a Facebook group for Columbia Games or Wizard Kings and specifically or something, or somewhere out there on the internet, or maybe there's a Discord or something. If you know of any of those Wizard King oriented groups, bulletin boards, chat servers, Discords, etc., let me know. But we will definitely talk more about this game. So again, coming up will be a how to play. Marty, we looked through some of this stuff real quickly here, but we'll do a how to play. We'll do a playthrough of that elves versus undead scenario. We will try to do a compare and contrast. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of more like the Heroes and Treasures expansion armies, so we can see. So like we did here, trying to look, so what else is available to these guys. Now, if you just want more of the basic things, again, like I said, I think I'm pretty certain every game that Columbia Games has out there, you can get individual components that you can buy the whole thing, or you can buy maps, blocks of different color. I mean, you could definitely buy big, I don't know, 25 or 50 packs of blocks or something like that. But I think you can get the sticker sheets. So if you just want more basic dudes, like you want much potentially larger armies, I want multiple rangers or something, or I want to be able to build more than just one castle or something. You can probably, if you get your own blocks and sticker sheets, you can do that. So anyway, I continue to ramble, but that's more content to come on this. Definitely my goal is before the end of May to have a playthrough of this. I might, depending on the time, I might do the playthrough before the how to play. Normally I do a how to play and then I do a playthrough. But in the interest of time crunch for what I want to get done, I want to get a playthrough done in May, because my last playthrough was in April. So we may do a playthrough before a how to play, and then a compare and contrast will come, and how much, what I can compare and contrast will depend on if I can potentially get some more stuff from Columbia Games or not. Otherwise, I'll have to try to scrounge to see what I do not want to go out and have to buy myself a huge stack of the expansion boxes. I personally am not into that Magic the Gathering kind of buying again. I have too much of a compulsive collecting habit, and I have sort of sworn myself off of collectible games because of that. So yeah, there's a little sticking point there with that, but I'll try to give you guys as much information as I can about this game without me going hog wild crazy. And yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go out and buy a crate of expansion boxes. All right. So let's go ahead and sign off here again. Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. We have unboxed Wizards King. We will return with more content on Wizards King. And again, this reminder: you're supposed to do your due diligence and say that this was not one that I bought myself, but I do own this game, a used copy. Is what I'll be playing with, but we will be giving this copy away to a viewer sometime. I'm not sure how long before, again, like I said, I think I'm about 490 videos, or 485 or 495. I don't know. We're getting close to 500 videos published on the channel, and that's when we'll give this away as part of that sort of yay celebration. So, all right, folks, I'm going to sign off for real now. Meandering Mike, and as usual, I say take care, and take care of your games, because they will take care of you. Ciao, y'all.